me explain to you all why you should never evolve your Pokemon. But first, the premise is to capture mystical monsters in a coconut, force them to commit mass murder in order to gain levels, rock, paper, scissors your way through the world, humiliating other dog fighters, and eventually, after leaving a trail of Rattata corpses behind you a mile long, your Pokemon will evolve from a cute little shite with adorable widowed cheeks into a horrifying Goliath that has replaced all its memories of cuddles with the desire to rend the flesh off the face of anything that stands in your way. Fun for the whole family. When I was grinding to evolve my Charmander to shame Brock with a fire-type Pokemon and it turned into a Charmeleon, it hit me. Pokemon evolution makes absolutely no sense! Pokemon evolution looks far more like metamorphosis rather than bona fide evolution, yes, but you don't know what I know, and when you do, you realize that there is no place to hide from the terror. Let me explain. Pokemon are undergoing sudden, drastic changes to their anatomy. So what? Pokemon undergo metamorphosis. What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you the big deal, because while this may be true, the process of Pokemon metamorphosis is at its heart the key to the entire puzzle, and it's what makes the Pokemon universe truly, utterly, mortifying. There is one key factor that makes all the difference in the world. Time. You see, Pokemon evolution happens nearly instantly. Unlike metamorphosis, it actually takes days, weeks, or even months to be fully realized. Metamorphosis requires a huge investment of energy. Let's talk about conservation of fucking mass. Put simply, conservation of mass means you can't get something from nothing and you can't turn something into nothing. If you take our whole wide bloody universe and accept that it has a set amount of stuff, you can't get more, you can't get less. If you want to make something bigger, you have to take stuff from something else. If you want to make something smaller, you have to put that stuff somewhere else. It's why teenagers have unstoppably ferocious appetites. They're growing at a rate unprecedented in their wee little lives and therefore need more time to make their bodies into more stuff. Pokemon metamorphosize in seconds and almost always get larger than they were before, which means the energy and materials that other animals would gather over days, Pokemon are sucking up in mere bloody moments. This instantaneous, huge requirement of energy and stuff cannot, according to every law of physics we know of, be circumvented. All Pokemon are different, but in order to understand the terrifying implications of this process, we're going to look at one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Fucking Magikarp. Magikarp is amazing because it goes from being easily the most useless piece of garbage in the entire world to being a freaking dragon with the flip of a switch. And I have to admit, as a little kid, I foolishly paid the con man at the entrance of Mount Moon $500 to get this totally useless trash Pokemon. And that sheet offers no returns. Swindler! I'm gonna fucking murder your bloody goddamn ass. If you're patient though and you're able to raise this Magikarp to level 20, it turns into a freaking Gyarados, a Pokemon fierce enough to chew its way through the Elite Four if it's so inclined. Magikarp is based on, carp. The garbage rat of the fish world, weighing in at a respectable 10 kilograms. Upon evolving, this piece of rejected sushi grows to an immense 235 kilogram dragon. Over 500 fucking pounds! That's a mass increase of over 2,000%! In order to figure out what this means in real life terms, we're going to have to build a working model of what the heck a Magikarp, and by extension, a Gyarados, is made out of. And after combing no less than 6 different academic fucking papers published over the last 60 bloody years, I finally have all the fucking answers. And the answers are terrifying. I'm going to go through this really quick because this is boring, complicated, and I have a tendency to talk too much, and I really want to keep this under 20 minutes, so here we go. Piecing together chemical analysis that has been run over the common carp for decades, we can assume that the common carp, and by extension the Magikarp, is comprised of 78.15% water, 6.85% tissue, 5% blood and trace minerals, and 10% skeleton. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to presume that a fully grown Gyarados is comprised of the same ratios, the same materials. Unless you know of a real-life liver dragon I compare it to, and no, not Dragon, he's a person. Starting with the easiest, water. Water is comprised of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, and is easily the simplest molecule we'll find inside our little magical beast. Next, the skeleton, which is mostly calcium, hydrazine, apatite, an incredibly complex molecule comprised of 10 calcium atoms, 24 phosphorus atoms, 26 oxygen atoms, and 2 hydrogen atoms. Believe it or not, that was the easiest part. Now, the tough stuff. I'm going to do blood and trace elements next because, believe it or not, this is actually the next least terrible aspect. Carp are comprised of dozens of different compounds, some organic and some inorganic. The difference between organic and inorganic molecules is honestly pretty arbitrary. Inorganic is just stuff that is already in the universe, water, oxygen, iron. Organic are essentially those very same inorganic elements and atoms rearranged to form complex structures designed for complex roles in the bodies of living things. We can just call them vitamins. Carp are comprised mainly of nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, phosphorus, sulfur, iron, manganese, vitamin A, carotene, vitamin C, nicotinic acid, riboflavin, and pantothenic acid, with nicotinic acid, vitamin C, nitrogen, and sodium making up the largest percentage of the trace compounds in parts per million, adding a whole new mess of stuff we need to make our fish. But this, as bad as it looks, isn't even remotely close to the worst part. Here we go. The most complex series of compounds is nested in this deviously small little section at 6.85% of body tissues. Specifically, these body tissues are split into two broad categories: proteins or amino acids and lipids, aka fats. Amino acids are simply speaking meat, and there are over 18 of them in a magicarp. Alanine, arginine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamine, glycine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phyllionine, proline, cyrenine, threonine, tryptophan, tyrosine, and valine. These amino acids are just differently arranged: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and sometimes sulfur. Thankfully, there's only 15 lipids in carbon. They're just carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, ristic, myristoylic, palmitic, palmitoylic, steric, oleic, linoleic, amylinoleic, alpha-linoleic, eicosanoic, arachidonic, icosapentaenoic, docosapentaenoic, and docosahexaenoic. Taking all these atoms and compounds and modifying them by their requisite percentages, we get a really close approximation of exactly how much of what stuff to take an itty-bitty magicarp and turn into a behemoth Gyarados. Remember, something doesn't come from nothing. Nothing comes from nothing. We see that the biggest draw of materials is going to be oxygen and hydrogen, which makes sense. At 78% water, with almost every single compound in the body being made from some combination of oxygen and hydrogen, it makes sense that together they make up 58% of the required atoms by mole. Next is phosphorus, with a really steep drop-off into calcium and carbon, and the rest really ain't worth talking about. There's only one way a tiny 10-kilogram magicarp can explode into a 235-kilogram Gyarados in mere moments: by gobbling over 200 kilograms of garbage in the near vicinity. I'm talking about dirt, atmosphere, grass, trees, and peelings. Most of the things in this list are in our world in abundance. Carbon, sulfur, calcium, potassium, sodium, magnesium, iron, and manganese are all in dirt alone. The real problem comes from hydrogen and oxygen, which unfortunately make up most of our colossal Pokemon here. But you may be saying, water's everywhere, so is oxygen. It's in the bloody atmosphere, it's what we fucking breathe. Well, you're not totally wrong, but the truth of the matter is that the air we breathe is mostly nitrogen. Less than a quarter of it is oxygen, and at sea level, there's only a quarter of a kilogram of oxygen per cubic meter, meaning that in order to get enough oxygen to build up all these molecules, you're looking at our Gyarados sucking in all the available oxygen within a radius of 6.5 meters in a matter of seconds. And hydrogen? Things are looking really fucking dire, mate. You see, you may think, oh, it's no big deal, there's water vapor, that'll take care of it. Yeah, even on the most humid days, we're looking at 200 picograms of hydrogen per cubic kilometer. That means in order to get enough hydrogen to build this freaking dragon in mere moments, this magicarp is going to have to pull hydrogen from every available nearby source. And nearby is relative. Any hydrogen source within a 223 billion kilometer radius is fair game. And since there is very, very little hydrogen in open air, it means you better hope that there's a barrel of water between you and that magicarp when it decides to Pokevolve, because guess what? You are the most water-rich source available, and that Pokemon is going to squeeze you dry like a fucking sponge, mate! And Gyarados is just an extreme example. Any Pokemon undergoing an extreme growth spurt in fractions of a second would be like a hand grenade going off as it immediately sucks in all available nutrients and elements in the vicinity, bursting pipes in local buildings to get at the water, killing other Pokemon in the area as it robs their vital vitamins and minerals, bursting eardrums from the massive pressure differentials formed by high volumes from the local atmosphere immediately collapsing, blasting holes in the ground 6 meters deep and sending all rejected elements flying out in every direction at high fractions at the speed of light, ionizing nearby atoms and sending gamma radiation and flying debris into anyone foolish enough to not hit that B button to cancel the evolution as quickly as possible. The world of Pokemon should look less like a beautiful rural British fucking landscape and more like the post-apocalyptic hellscape of Fallout, full of irradiated craters, nutrient-thirsty monsters, and idiot humans who weren't smart enough to murder every Pokemon in sight with lead pipes as the first one exploded into its next form. Forget dogfighting analogies and forget quantum murder from Pokeballs. Pokemon themselves are black holes of voracious destruction, ticking time bombs just sitting there looking fucking adorable to keep you off guard just long enough for them to turn into implosive, tiny nuclear bombs before emerging as something stronger, meaner, and altogether more bloody fucking terrifying.